Now, the Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs has presented this statement to show the implementation and monitoring of the 2020 budget at the National Assembly in Banjul. The oral ministerial presentation identified the top 3 spending ministries with increased in budget in different sectors of this year's budget compared with that of the previous year. Aminata Job has more in this report.
In response to the customary arrangements, the Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs on Monday presented the ministerial statement on the implementation and monitoring of the 2020 budget before the National Assembly in Banjul. Mamburinjai presented that the Ministries of Health, Work and Infrastructure, and Basic and Secondary Education were identified as the top 3 spending ministries pertaining to the government budget execution as of April 2020.
The top 3 spending ministries during the period under review are Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, $916 million, Ministry of Works and Infrastructure, $478 million, and the Ministry of Health and Social Welfare, $372 million. Honorable Speaker, in terms of absorptive capacity, the Ministry of Works and Infrastructure has absorbed 73% of its approved budget as at end April 2020.
According to the National Assembly Standing Order 94, the Vice President or the Minister responsible for finance shall at least once during each session of the National Assembly make an oral ministerial statement on the implementation and monitoring of the annual budget. Minister Njai pointed out that other recurrent expenditure has increased from $994 million in the 2019 to $1.2 billion in 2020.
Honorable Speaker, other recurrent expenditure increased from $994 million in 2019 to $1.2 billion in 2020, registering a growth of 22%, whilst 22% of its approved budget was spent during the same period under review. Government did allocate an additional $500 million to the Ministry of Health under other recurrent, which was obtained by reallocating budget votes from various budget.
Meanwhile, capital development has increased by 348% relative to last year, from $153 million in 2019 to $687 million in 2020. Similarly, government expenditure on land as of April has increased to more than $5 billion, with 29% higher than the expenditure for the same period last year.
The total government local fund expenditure as at end April 2020 reached $5.08 billion, 29% more than the same period last year, when government expenditure reached $3.95 billion Gambian dollars. Out of the total GLF expenditure, 24% was spent on other recurrent, 26% on personnel emolument, 24% on subvention, 12% on debt service, and 14% on capital development.
According to the ministerial statement, the first quarter of 2020 presents an increase in the budget of food and food services from $50 million in 2019 to $115 million in 2020. The quantum jump is being justified to the expansion of school feeding program under the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education.